People often speak as though morality began with religion. But did it? If people already knew murder was wrong, why did they also need the idea of sin? Because morality and sin are not the same thing. One governs how people treat each other. The other introduces the idea of a debt owed to a supernatural authority.
So did morality exist before organized religion?
The archaeological and historical evidence suggests it did. Every society depended on cooperation. Human beings naturally value their own lives. They also form deep emotional bonds with family, friends, and the people they love. We have a powerful aversion to being killed or seeing those closest to us harmed. The same principle extends to our possessions, our homes, our children, and the things we work hard to obtain: murder, theft, betrayal, and violence within the group. These behaviors threatened not only survival, but the trust and security every community depended upon. So communities developed rules, not because Scripture first declared these acts wrong, but because human nature and common sense had already shown that cooperation was essential for individuals and societies to flourish. So moral behavior appears before religious doctrines about sin. That is what the historical record suggests. Religion largely formalized principles that human beings had already discovered through living together. So where does sin come into the story? As societies became larger, breaking a social rule gradually became something more. It was no longer simply an offense against another person. It became an offense against the God. Wrongdoing was transformed into a moral debt. Why make that change? Because it made rules far more powerful. A person can escape a village. They can avoid a human judge, but they cannot escape an all-seeing supernatural authority. The rule now followed them. Everywhere. It moved from society into conscience. So guilt already existed? Yes. We evolved emotions such as guilt because they encourage cooperation. When we harm someone, guilt encourages repair. But religious guilt often goes much further. It includes thoughts, intentions, doubt, and desires. The emotional system becomes much broader. What happens once wrongdoing becomes a debt? Every debt invites repayment. So many religions developed ways to remove moral debt: sacrifices, offerings, confession, prayer. Different traditions use different methods, but they all address the same question: how is the debt removed? Let's apply the same reasoning we used throughout this series. If a single, infinitely intelligent creator wanted humanity to understand morality, would we expect the idea of sin to develop gradually across different cultures? Or would we expect it to be explained clearly from the beginning, in a language every generation could understand? That is the central question. When a doctrine develops, slowly changes over time, history suggests human development, not a single universal source. So why does the idea remain powerful? Because it explains something everyone experiences: guilt, regret, shame. People naturally seek meaning for those emotions. Religious systems provide one explanation, psychology provides another. Both recognize guilt, but they explain its origin differently. The historical evidence shows that moral rules appeared wherever people lived together. Religious traditions later connected those rules to supernatural authority. Whether that connection reflects reality or reflects how human societies developed is something the evidence invites each of us to examine.
The purpose of this series is not to tell you what to believe. It is to encourage examination. Ideas that are true do not fear scrutiny. They become stronger when questioned. If you found value in this discussion, subscribe, like, share the episode, and join us for the next investigation. Until then, examine everything, assume nothing. This is the raw truth. Follow, subscribe, and share, and continue the conversation.